Hi, this is Trey Pass. Welcome to my review of Titan Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Bruce Wayne. Now, going into this, I thought, based on last episode, I thought going in, episode was going to be about the Titans reaching out to Bruce Wayne because of Connor's situation. Connor, of course, in this review is going to have spoilers, obviously. He got shot by Mercy Graves with two kryptonite bullets, and so he's basically dying, and we just assumed that he was going to Dick was going to reach out to Bruce Wayne, obviously he knows Superman, obviously, and see what he can do about the kryptonite bullets. But that's not how it unfolds. In fact, this episode could be entitled Dick Grayson Part 2, because last season there was an episode with Dick Grayson, the finale was entitled Dick Grayson, where he Trigon played with his mind and all that stuff, and he succumbed to his dark side. But this episode is about Dick Grayson, but it's also primarily about Dick, and the way Bruce Wayne figures into it is that he's like the living embodiment of his conscience to him, while Dick is going around trying to find Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, to try to end this for once and for all. He wants to try to end this. He's going around town looking for clues and all that stuff, and along the way he has a passenger. He has his conscious mind, which takes the form of Bruce Wayne, actor Ian Glenn, and it's quite revealing and quite interesting what happens with them. And basically, like I say, he goes around town, looking for clues of whereabouts of talking to various snitches and stuff and people that know Slade Wilson to try to find out exactly where he is so he can end this. That's his goal. He's seen the results of of Jason almost dying and the Titans, and he also feels the guilt about what happened with Jericho, which we can pretty much surmise, and I'll get to that point later. But basically, you see the living embodiment of Bruce Wayne, which is his conscience, basically needling him and reminding him that all this happened 5 years ago, and that Dick is responsible for this, and Dick is trying to ignore him for the most part, his conscious part of his living conscious part of that, but every once in a while he argues with it, and we know that obviously that's he's not talking to anybody, because the people that Dick is talking to, when he's yelling, there's nobody there. So we know that he's just this form of Bruce Wayne is just is literally his unconscious mind voicing all the stuff that he doesn't want to say out loud. That he's responsible for this, and he started with him, and he should be protecting the Titans and stuff instead of being out here. He's giving in to Slade. He shouldn't be doing that. Just basically giving him advice that he would normally be giving himself, but he's so guilt-ridden about what happened with Jericho, and again what happened with Jason, that he's kind of ignoring that and figures that he can end it and just be done with it. Okay, but the beginning of the episode actually begins with Connor, where Connor is being tended to, in the med lab, and by Corey and Dawn, and they're saying that he's dying. They said we can't even stick an IV in him because like Superman, because he's a clone of Superman, and Lex Luthor, it's not Luthor, Lex Luthor. He has the impenetrable skin, so they can't even stick an IV in him. So all they can do is basically monitor him and try to stop the bleeding and just see if he recovers. And meanwhile, he's muttering to himself, and they say he's mentioning a lady. He's mentioning a lady named Eve. Okay, and we know that's the scientist's name who helped create the clone that is Connor. So while he's delirious and unconscious, he's thinking about her. And we also we see they actually show at Candace where Mercy said, listen, this is better that it happened this way, because you don't want a guy running around that has Lex Luthor as part of his DNA in him. Okay, so you basically tell him, listen, I know who I work for. Lex Luthor is an asshole, and you don't want him. She said it's better that we ended it. And Mr. Luthor, she basically tells Eve that he's moving on to subject number 14, and Connor being number 13. He said he's put suspect number, clone number 13 as a rear view. As far as Lex Luthor is concerned, that problem's been dealt with, and he's moving on. Okay, and he basically tells Eve, you can go on your way. You've been relieved of your duty, so you go on. But Eve has other ideas. Okay, she actually, on her way out, she bumps into another female scientist and kind of swipes her badge, security badge, and she goes to the lab where, like last episode they captured Crypto. They put a kryptonite collar on him, and we see him. He's stuck in a cage, and she knows that Crypto can actually track Connor, and so she goes to him and she kind of helps him uh, break out of his cage, and he uses his laser vision to snap to shoot off the kryptonite collar, and that's when everybody's breaking into the lab because he's breaking out of the cage. She holds on to him and says, "Go, boy," and he literally flies, which I thought was cool. He flies out of the window, with her holding on, and Crypto takes off, which I thought was cool. I didn't think they'd show him flying, but that was cool that they did actually show that because we know that's his power set in the comics. Crypto can fly, okay. So that was cool to see that, and she makes her way out. Okay, and like I said, meanwhile, Jason is dealing with the ramifications of his encounter with Slade and his falling nearly to his death. He's got severe PTSD. He's having those flashbacks of falling. That falling, you see in his in his eyes. He's reliving that moment over and over again, and he's blasting the music in his room so he can try to drown that part of it out. But he's, you can tell he's severely shocked by that encounter with Slade and that nearly falling to his death. So he's really shocked by that. He's blasting his music. And who knocks on his door? Rose. And Rose comes into his room, much to his consternation. And she's basically telling him, listen, she turns the music down and she tells him, listen, I know you had an encounter with my father, and so I know you're having a rough time dealing with this. And like I said, most of these people in this place, this tower, you're keeping it to yourself. That's like most of the people in this place keep their secrets to themselves, which is a really good observation that Rose makes, because that's really true. Most of these people in the Titans, they keep their problems to themselves. AKA Raven keeping her fear of her dark side to herself. Corey keeping that secret that there was, although she just told Donna about her, them wanting her to go back to her planet to rule. So there are, and Dick his secret with Jericho. So there are various secrets floating around that nobody really is telling each other about. And she wisely observes this, and she kind of tells Jason, I understand what you're going through. Okay, she said, listen, I'll and she tries to engage with him, and she tells him, listen, I'll teach you how to dance. And he says, I don't dance, but she said, and they have their moment where she kind of bonds with him, and she kind of dances with him, dances around him, kind of, and leads him on, and then she kind of starts kissing him. Okay, so they have a kind of a bonding moment, through their shared trauma of being chased by her father. Okay, so, and then also at the same time we see various Titans. You see Dawn, Hank, and Donna. They get reminders of their past. In Hank's case, it's a bottle of alcohol on the shelf in his room. Dawn is a picture of the guy they was trying to help in their counseling program. And then Donna, she gets a bottle of soda that Garth used to drink, Aqualad, aka on her bed. And so, they're wondering, who put these things in their room. So, they're wondering what's going on. Okay, and that also at the same time we see, like I said, Dick is going around to the various clubs looking for a Slade and trying to get clues, talk to his past contacts. And like I said, he has the figment of his imagination, Bruce Wayne, with him. And there's a great moment, which is kind of a tie back into the old Batman TV series where Adam West as Batman danced. And it's absolutely hilarious because you see when Dick is talking to a contact, we see actually Bruce Wayne on stage. Obviously, he's not there in person. He's just in his mind. He's dancing with the two dancers, and he's dancing like Batman did in the old TV show, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And Ian Glenn just looks absolutely, he commits to it, and it absolutely cracked me up that he was just dancing like, Bruce Wayne, or excuse me, aka Batman from the 60s TV show. That was just absolutely hilarious. But like I said, he's traveling with Dick around, basically trying to force Dick to confront the thing that he's keeping inside that he won't admit out loud. Okay, and then we'll get back to that later. And then we see while Rose and Jason are bonding, she tells him, listen, let me drive, let me pick the next record. And she goes, to where he has his music, and she picks up a record, and it has property of Jericho Wilson on it. And she says, where did you get this from? This is my brother. This is my dead brother's. Where did you get this from? And of course he doesn't know. He said, I borrowed this from Dick. I didn't know your brother. And she's fed up and she's had it, and she basically storms off, thinking that he's part of this whole thing, that that they might be responsible. Help, she knows her father killed her brother, but that they may be responsible for it. So she storms off, and then you see Jason just had it, and we see he starts to walk out, and then he gets confronted by Raven in the hallway, and she says, "I know you did it. I know you did it. Admit it." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And you see in her room, there's a bunch of crosses tattooed everywhere. Not tattooed, just everywhere on all the glasses in her room and on the walls and everything else. And she accuses him of doing it, of course. And he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then he starts walking, and sees the other Titans are hanging around, and they accuse him also of playing the soda on Donna's bed, and playing the alcohol in Hank's room, and playing the picture by in Dawn's room, and by on her shelf as well. And he thinks these people. He said, "You people are crazy. I'm not doing any of this. I know you like to." So basically, he's had it, and he said he's done. He said, "You people are crazy. You think I'm doing all this? I'm done." And he goes to leave, and you see that at that moment, Dick comes back. He comes back to the tower, and after having confronted Slade Wilson's right hand man, who basically tells him, "Listen, I'm not going to give you that." He said, basically, you and Slade are just the same thing. You're the same type of people, and he doesn't really give him anything. But Slade does give him a call and tells him to meet him somewhere, and he meets him, and tells him to go to a certain location, and that's when you can tell that's when Dick has a breakthrough, when he goes to this, I think it's a church that he goes to, and where he sees all these pictures of the Titans, okay, from the tower. Slade has them all laid out on the table, and his Bruce Wayne conscience tells him, "Listen, you're out here where you should be. You're in the wrong place where you should be back in the tower protecting your team." And then that's when he runs out and he comes back to the tower, and we see Jason go off into the roof, and you see him, and he gets up on the roof on the top, and he's standing like he's getting ready to jump, and Dick follows him out, and he looks at his conscious Bruce Wayne, and kind of gives him a nod, and he goes to ask Jason. He said, "Listen, this is," he tries to comfort him, and Jason is basically telling him, "Listen, I had problems before, with all his juvie record and all this other stuff, and maybe I know a way to end this, to end all," and you can see like he's contemplating, jumping off the roof and killing himself, where Dick goes to the roof and he actually sits down, and he tells him, "Listen, I want to tell you something I've never told anybody. I'm responsible for killing Slade Wilson's son, Jericho." And then it goes off that way, where Dick admits that he killed, Jericho Wilson, again, Slade Wilson's son, and Rose's brother. But what I think is that because they showed you in the flashback, the episode with Aqualad, they showed Dick meeting Jericho in the record store, okay, and they didn't show you what happened thereafter. But what I think happened, this is my speculation, and I think it happened, it's going to play out this way. Dick used them as bait to draw out Slade, because we saw in the episode, I think in the Aqualad episode, that Slade was kind of keeping tabs on his son and his ex-wife, I guess. We saw him outside the apartment building, and so he was probably keeping track of them, even though he probably got divorced from them or whatever. But he was keeping track of them, and so Dick knew that to get to Slade, he could befriend his son. And probably what happened was Slade, and probably in trying to kill Dick, he probably killed his son Jericho, and I think that's why Slade has this big heart on for the Titans, and why Dick feels guilty about it, because I don't think he told I don't know if he told the other Titan. I don't think he did, because not the way he's reacting with this guilt that he has this big secret that he hasn't told them. So I think he went on his own and befriended Jericho, and became friends with him and stuff, and probably sent Slade a message saying, "Yeah, you want your son, come meet me here somewhere." And then he wound up trying to kill Dick, and he wound up killing his son. So that's why Slade has a hard on to kill Dick, and Dick feels guilty about using Jericho to draw Slade Wilson out. So that's why I think, and that's the way to play out. But first he admits this to Jason, at the end of this episode. So then I'm assuming he's going to admit it to the other Titans, so they know, and they can finally all get on the same page and stop keeping these secrets, and hopefully they can get together and stop Terminator, Deathstroke. Oh yeah, and I forgot about Connor. Okay, I mean wrap up the part about Connor. After Eve escapes with Crypto, Crypto actually tracks him down to the tower. He's standing outside the tower with her, and she rings the bell and tells him, "Listen, do you guys know a guy named Connor? This dog brought me here." And Corey sees it and tells guard to buzz her and let her in. And they let her in, and she sees that he's in pretty bad shape, and she said, "Listen, I don't think there's much we can do for him because he's dying. The poison has spread. The kryptonite poison has spread throughout his body, so I don't think there's much that we can do to save him. He's dying." And she said the only way that would stop him, he would need like a blast of radiation, like solar radiation, go. She said, I think the way she phrased it was, you get a trip to the sun, sort of like when Superman, sort of like in Batman v Superman, when Superman got hit with the nuke, and then he went up into the sun, and the sun revived him. So that's basically what she's saying, that he needs a bunch of the solar radiation to get rid of the the kryptonite out of his system. And she said you would need like a living battery or something like. And then Corey has a big smile on her face and said, "Oh, why didn't you just say that?" And then she gets Raven to basically she's going to use her energy blast on Connor while holding him and have Raven use her shadow shelf to contain the energy so it doesn't blot out everything. So Raven uses her powers to contain, and Corey uses her powers on Connor, and it actually it heals him, and he's better now, and he has a nice little reunion with Eve. He calls Mom, which I thought was nice, and stuff, and we got to see so Connor is better now, so hopefully going forward he'll stay a Titan. I want him to stay with the team. Like I said, I like his dynamic with Corey, and we'll see how he interacts with the other Titans and stuff. And looked like he had a nice bonding moment with Jason before he got shot. So I'm definitely interested in seeing Connor's interaction with the other Titans and stuff. And now that we know he's fully healthy, but as far as Lex Luthor knows, he's dead. He doesn't know that he's alive. Okay, so we'll see how long that lasts. And maybe next season they'll bring in Lex Luthor. Somebody will cast an actor as Lex Luthor, and maybe even cast somebody as Clark Kent. Yeah, and have a Superman show. That would be nice if they do that, so that way you can have Connor actually meet his two fathers, which I think would be nice. But anyway, this was a nice episode. Again, like I said, it could have been titled Dick Grayson, because it was primarily focused on him, and even though Bruce Wayne is in it as his conscience, it's not the real Bruce Wayne. It was just his conscience, to kind of goad him Dick on to finally admitting what he did 5 years ago, how he used Jericho to get Slade, to track Slade down, and I think we either next episode or maybe an episode after that, we'll see it play out where they'll show that flashback where they show Slade actually killing his son, which I don't think he probably did it on purpose. He probably just did it when he's trying to kill Dick Grayson, and he wound up killing his son. So, and of course Dick feels guilty about that. So anyway, let me know what you think of Titans Season 2, Episode 7, titled Bruce Wayne. What do you think of it? Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I also have a link to my other channel, All Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.